10. Tales of Kenzera. Zhao. Tales of Kenzera will cast its focus on a young shaman's journey to retrieve his late father's soul from the darkness, a mystical world in which the god of death operates the strings and reigns supreme over its inhabitant. A warrior at heart, the tenacious shaman will travel to the great beyond and tackle the obstacles left in the god of death's wake. Surprise, surprise, this is where you'll pick up the slack, bound for the darkness, and with only one objective in mind: save your father from his ill fate. Tales of Kenzera. Tao is a side-scrolling platformer at heart, which means the lion's share of the gameplay will revolve around numerous environmental puzzles, traditional platforming, and Metroidvania-like combat. From the looks of the footage that was revealed during the Game Awards, there'll be a generous mixture of combat scenarios to sift through, skills to master, and new elemental powers to unlock, too. And so, with that, we can definitely expect a bit more than an A to B side-scrolling adventure with a litter of cliffs.
Show me you are ready.
Nine. Black Myth Wukong.
Master, are there more good folks in the world or bad?
More good, of course.
Black Myth Wukong is an upcoming action RPG developed by the Chinese studio Game Science. After showcasing the title's breathtaking graphics and impactful combat in a surprise announcement last year, here's all we know about the title. At this point in time, we know very little about the specifics of the game's story. Game Science has remained tight-lipped on that aspect of the game, so we can only go off what we've seen in the two official trailers. What we do know is that the game is based on the book Journey to the West and revolves around Sun Wukong, a legendary mythic figure in Chinese folklore. Known for his strength, agility, and ability to shift into various forms, Wukong is an incredibly powerful being. No doubt Game Science has an incredible story and world for players to explore. Let's hope we find out more details soon.
I'm destined for extermination!
Sweet destiny.
8. Lost Records. Bloom and Damp Rage. Bloom and Rage is an upcoming story-driven journey through time adventure game by Don't Nod. In a similar vein as the studio's previous works, the newest chapter will cast its focus on a group of friends, teens who will reunite after nearly 3 decades of being apart. According to the blurb, their forthcoming reunion will revolve around the acceptance of a distant memory, an event that each of the 4 friends promised to never speak again. As for what this memory is, or how it directly affected the group, however, is still something of a mystery. Going by the elevator pitch that was revealed during the Game Awards, Lost Records will follow 4 friends, Swan, Nora, Autumn, and Kat, on their collective journey of self-discovery during the mid-S. The game will split its time between the past and present, with the former being set around a certain event that the friends vowed to keep a secret, and the latter being set around their reunion, as well as their inevitable dive into said secret. According to Don't Nod, Lost Records shares a lot of DNA with the studio's earlier works, a statement that mainly refers to life as strange, twin mirror, and tell me why. So, while we can't comment on the game's actual gameplay format, we can say that it'll likely feature interwoven story arcs, as well as a whole bunch of choice-based dialogue and exploration, similar to what we've seen in the aforementioned project. Of course, Don't Nod isn't one for producing action-packed role-playing games, but more story-driven episodic tales that take players through life-changing journeys. And so, while we don't know what sorts of adventures will be going on, we do know that Don't Nod has an undying habit of crafting heartfelt stories with long-lasting messages. It just so happens that the next game in the pipeline will transport us back to the roots of '90s. And we're totally fine with that.
It's been 27 years, y'all. Why now? Because we made a promise.
7. Frank Stone. give you a clearer idea of what the upcoming game is, the casting of Frank Stone is a choice-based single-player horror game set in the same universe as Dead by Daylight. The game, much like the studio's previous works, will revolve around a group of teenagers, locals who just so happen to share an underlying connection with a fake secret that shrouds the history of their hometown. At the time of writing, neither Supermassive Games nor Behavior Interactive have shared all that many details on the general premise of the game. That said, we do know that the story will take place in Cedar Hills, a remote town that, prior to the arrival of its protagonist's debut, stood as the staging ground for a series of twisted events, all of which were orchestrated by the infamous figure known as Frank Stone. Going by Supermassive Games' rather short blurb, the story will take place in the present day, a period during which the sadistic events left behind by Frank Stone still pose a bleak shadow over the town of Cedar Hills. Six, Light No Fire. Light No Fire is a new fantasy experience from Hello Games, the studio responsible for No Man's Sky, where that title sought to let you explore the infinite weirdness of the universe. Light No Fire wants to let you in on something more intimate, albeit no less expansive or ambitious. A procedurally generated multiplayer Earth, a true open world, built at scale to our own planet. A world that's full of fantastical color and strange creatures. A boundaryless space that is yet to be discovered, that you can leave a mark on, impacting any others who may stumble across your finds in the future. What if you and your friends spent a few evenings scaling a mysterious, uncharted mountain that was miles high? Reaching the summit names it after the player who discovered it, something to revel in as some of your party begin constructing watchtowers and others gaze out at miles of open sky in every direction. Below, endless vistas, oceans, and continents that may yet to have been found. Where you choose to go next, and how you want to try and get there, is completely up to you. There's a whole world out there to be explored. That's the Light No Fire gameplay fantasy. Built atop of this exploration, survival, and crafting are more traditional concepts. Light No Fire will feature a story and combat. You'll see player characters wielding swords and shields, bows, and staffs in the debut trailer. You'll also be able to fly wild beasts over fantastical landscapes, plunge into the darkest depths of the deepest seas, and write your own adventures as you come together with other travelers to leave your mark on a planet as dense and wide as our own. Five, Warhammer 40, Space Marine 2. Games Workshop's Warhammer K is the most popular miniature wargame in the world, and its gothic science fiction setting is greatly responsible for that. Unsurprisingly, it's also nurtured tons of video games over the decades, including the recent Doom-inspired shooter Bolt Gun. One of the most famous ones is 2011 Feat Space Marine, and more than a decade later, we're finally getting a big blockbuster sequel. Here's everything we know about Warhammer K, Space Marine. In the distant future of Warhammer K, a dogmatic human civilization is under siege from all sides, fighting off armies of hostile aliens, commonly referred to as Xenos, and terrible supernatural forces. It's grand and gritty in equal measure, and despite the many franchises it's influenced over the years, there's nothing quite like it. Space Marine put players inside the armor of Captain Titus, a member of the legendary Ultramarines, as he and his men fight against the Orcs and Chaos forces. Titus is back for the sequel, but the hideous, insectoid Tyranids are the main antagonists this time around. If you want a good 40 warm-up before Space Marine arrives, we've got the perfect best Warhammer K games of all time list waiting for you. Moreover, our rankings of the finest Alien, Marvel, DC, and Star Wars games out there will cover all your big sci-fi needs. And if you're looking for more general picks, we recommend taking a look at the best space exploration, space colonization, and space horror titles available right now.
They're a preacher!
So, we know that the game will be centered around this anomaly-strewn Olympic exclusion zone. But what? Well, that's where things get a little confusing, as it turns out. From the looks of it, this once thriving zone was originally home to experimental research of a top-secret organization. Now abandoned and consumed by its own creations, the OEZ stands with little more than a few fragments scattered between sections. This is where you, along with your station wagon, will set out to uncover its vast mysteries. As far as gameplay goes, Pacific Drive will divide its time between run-based open-world exploration, which will consist of scavenging for materials and documenting your trips, and upgrading your station wagon in order to venture into greater depths in the OES. Going by the blurb, your base of operations, a disused garage, will allow you to make adjustments to your vehicle, as well as plan new routes and pinpoint key landmarks out in the OES. Check the map, pack some gear for the trip, and hit the road, the description adds. Gather resources and collect data as you go. There's all sorts of useful stuff inside the walls of the zone. Make it back safely and use the contents of your trunk to improve your car and garage. Every time you venture out, new trials await, bizarre weather, unforgiving landscapes, and experimental remnants. The golden rule in the zone is nothing ventured, nothing gained. Though materials can only be found in the most dangerous places. Be smart out there, and don't waste time. It's going to be a long haul.
Locations impacted in sectors Delta.
3 Tekken 8.
貴様、一体何者だ。
すぐに理解することになる。
The most recent trailer for Tekken focuses on the story mode of the game, The Dark Awakens. Several cinematic animations introduce characters we haven't seen in action yet, including interactions between Jin and June which set the tone for the story mode. In addition to this, we get a look at Devil Kazuya, which has changed since Tekken. More Tekken trailers can be found on the Bandai Namco YouTube channel, alongside the gameplay trailers for each announced character. Character trailers are dropping at a frequent rate, so expect this page to update as new and returning fighters announce their return. With a new mainline Tekken game, players are desperate to see which legacy characters will return for the current gen experience. Although many fan-favorite and storyline integral characters such as Jin Kazama and Kazuya Mishima will return, we can also expect to see a handful of new fighters with entirely new movesets to master. The Tekken release date is currently scheduled for January 26, 2024, as confirmed by a trailer shown during Gamescom's opening night live ceremony on August 22. Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown.
Exciting encounters, technical fights, challenging platforming, and so much more. This is what you can expect in Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown.
Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown is going to be the first game in the series where you won't be playing as the titular prince. Instead, you play as Sargon, a member of the Immortals, a group comprised of 7 of Persia's most elite and skilled warriors. As the game kicks off, Sargon and his fellow Immortals fend off an attack on Persia by the Kushan army, though their celebrations are short-lived, as not long afterward, Prince Ghassan is kidnapped by Anahita, a woman who is thought by everyone to be loyal to the Persian crown, and taken to Mount Qaf. Believing that she intends to use the prince to seize power and take control of Persia's Sargon, and the immortals head to the ruined formal citadel on the mountain under orders from the queen, hoping to find and rescue the prince. One of the things that we were instantly impressed by in the hours of footage we saw of the Lost Crown was how impressive it looks from a presentation perspective. Cutscenes range between fully animated cinematics and series of stills, but regardless of what form they take, they boast quite a bit of personality and flair. Graphically, the game is brimming with unique visual flourishes in everything from combat to animations to details in the environments, all of which is coming together in rather impressive fashion. Combined with the art style, which is drawing heavily on Persian mythology, The Lost Crown is certainly looking like a solid visual experience.
Menelaus' boat. What's going on?
The Prince of Persia.
One, Little Devil Inside. Little Devil Inside is an upcoming action-adventure role-playing game by Neostream Interactive. The game sends players on a hunt for supernatural events and monsters in a January 19, 2024 to century-themed world. The game takes a whimsical approach to the classic adventures of supernatural life, presenting various comical moments. Given the dearth of information surrounding the game, details regarding its plot remain scarce. However, we do know that the story revolves around Billy, an unassuming adventurer who gets by performing mundane tasks for others. Tragically, an unexpected incident upends his life. A college professor hires him to traverse the world in search of supernatural occurrences and creatures. Billy must now combat menacing monsters in survival-themed gameplay, all while also evading the gnawing grip of starvation. From face value, the game seems like a quirky take on the monster hunting subgenre. The game is rather ambitious since it also promises a co-op mode where you can tag along with a friend on the adventure. The upcoming title is an action-adventure RPG played from a third perspective. Players assume the role of the adventurer in the January 19, 2024 to century steampunk backdrop. The game combines elements of open-world exploration with survival and combat. From the trailer, the game promises a variety of monsters to fight and different biomes to traverse. The combat appears to be pretty intense. Your character is equipped with a sword, which he skillfully uses to hack and slash the monsters. The blade does more than slice up your foes. While exploring dark caves, you can wield the sword to illuminate your path. Apart from the sword, the game gives you a plethora of weapons with which to maneuver the obstacles before you. You can choose between a gun, a shield, and bombs.